NOVSIGHT asked me if I'd be interested in taking one of their jump starter packs and seeing how I liked it and doing a little review on it here. And so I said, sure. I've actually been wanting to buy one of these recently, and so it's good to have. I've very much enjoyed the products they've sent me before with the LED headlights for the Mustang and the Tahoe. I'm very impressed with the quality of their products, and I really believe that. I've had those lights in for a few years now, and they've been great. And so I thought I'd go ahead and give this Jumpstart pack a try and see how I liked it. And when it came to me in the mail, it was charged up to about 65% when I turned it on. So I decided to go ahead and charge it the remainder of the way. So it didn't take very long to charge, maybe half an hour, and that was really nice. And this is something you're going to want to keep charged up every few months. You're going to want to check it and make sure it's charged up. But it's a really nice unit. It comes in a very nice case, and here it is all charged up, and we're going to go try it on my Mustang.
Now, before we get started, I do want to stress to people to be careful. This is something that deals with electricity. If you touch things together under the hood with the battery or with the jumper pack, you could get shocked. You should know that electricity is there even if you can't see it. So I want everyone to please be careful, maybe do some more research about how electricity works and how it flows through a battery or an electrical system on a car. When I was younger and I had my first house, my dad came over to help me work on the power box, and he was an aircraft engineer, and he had worked on jets and the Air Force, and he was really good with electronics. And he told me one time he turned off all the power and he said, look, if the power is on and I touch this and this, it won't do anything. But if I touch this and that, it'll put me against the wall over there. He said, electricity does not lie. And that was something that I always tried to remember. And so you don't want to get shocked. You don't want to hurt yourself, or, even potentially you could die from getting electrocuted. And so it's something to be very careful with. And so I just want to state that before we get into this. And, some people will get really quick under the hood, and they'll start putting clamps on things and hooking up cables and not paying attention to what they're doing. And some people who don't really know what these jump boxes do might just think, oh, I have that in the trunk, all I have to do is put it on and it'll start, without considering what they're really doing and that they're dealing with electricity. And so you should definitely read the instructions before you start. And in this case, it does show you a little how-to, and it says it wants you to first open the little rubber door on the unit and plug in the jumper cable harness. So then it wants you to connect the red clamp and then the black one, and then you can cycle the key, and it should display ready on the unit, and then you crank it and start it, and then you go and make sure to disconnect the unit within 30 seconds of it running. And in this case, they want you to unplug the harness from the unit and then unplug the cables. And remember, try not to touch them together on anything.
Now, I have a completely dead battery here in the Mustang, and at first you can see how it fluctuates there from 12 to 16 volts. That's going to be important because we're going to try to jumpstart this absolutely dead battery, and you'll see that on the 12 volts, it doesn't even want to start with that. So you'll notice that I tried it 3 times and it wouldn't start, and they recommend that you let the unit cool off and sit for 2 to 3 minutes if you try it 3 times and it doesn't start the vehicle. Now in this case, I was trying to start it when it was on the 12 volt fluctuation, and it's not like you can turn it on to the 16 volt or the 12 or choose that. It just fluctuates. It gives it a little extra power there as you go. And in this case, I decided as soon as I can tell that it's going to the 16 volts, I'm going to hit it right then. And you can tell because I can hear it clicking. So this is what happens here. You'll see with the 16 volt. You'll see it can actually start it. they recommend that you unplug the power cable here at the unit when you're done, once it's started. Now the volt gauge is in the top right, and you can see when it goes all the way to the right, that's 16 volts, and that's when we're going to start it.
See right now. So I want to emphasize again that this was a completely dead battery. This had been sitting in my garage for over a year, totally dead. It probably didn't even have more than 1.5 volts to it. So this jump pack is definitely going to help start a weak battery, no problem. But that's what I had to do to get it to jump start a completely dead as a doornail battery.
Well, that took the battery down about 50%, so that's pretty good for how much I tried it. Now, I have this other one that my friend let me borrow, and I tried this one with the same absolutely dead battery, and I had absolutely nothing. I mean, no dome light, nothing at all. And this one even had a override where you can push the button, that 12-volt override there. And what that does on this particular unit is it lets you start it even if it's not even seeing 1.5 volts or 3 volts or something. If it sees a super dead battery, it's not going to let you start it. Maybe it's also detecting if there's even a battery there. But in this case, this other unit, I pushed that 12-volt override, and even with that, it wouldn't start my absolutely dead battery. So the NOVSIGHT one did a better job in this case.
So back to our NOVSIGHT unit, it has a lot of built-in protections. It has reverse polarity protection, which lets you know if you may have put the cables on the wrong posts or something like that. It'll give you a long continued beep and has a warning sign there. There is short circuit protection, and that's in case your jumper cable connection is not properly connected, and they want you to disconnect the unit for about 5 minutes if it does that, and then reattempt your connection and make sure that everything's connected properly. There's reverse charging protection. They don't want you to leave the unit on there while the car is running for more than 30 seconds. So once you get the car running, unplug the harness. There's low voltage protection. And so basically what that's going to do is that's going to make the unit turn everything off except for its jump starting function. It has over voltage protection, which basically means that the jump starter pack has seen too much voltage, and they'll want you to just unplug everything and let it sit for about 60 minutes. Over limit protection is basically that the jump starter pack didn't have enough charge on it when you try to use it. They want you to have it at about 25% minimum. I like to charge it up to 100% each time I use it, and obviously that's what I did today. It knocked it down about 50% with how many times I tried, and so it still had a few tries in it, but it's good to keep it charged up. It has overcrank attempt protection, so if you maybe crank it too many times or too long or whatever, and it gives this logo, then just disconnect it and allow it to rest for about 10 seconds before you try it again. There's overheat protection. You don't want the unit being out in the sunlight too long or in hot or too cold conditions, and so if that little thermometer comes up, then you just want to let it cool down. It should operate between 10 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. So that's basically operating the unit within 50 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And so it's basically the battery that doesn't like anything outside of that range. There's high-low temperature protection, so the jump starter will either be too hot or too cold, so ensure to jump start it within the accepted temperature range. So those are just some of the safety features it has. Now, remember, when you're dealing with electricity, you can't see it, but it's there, and it's dangerous, and some people have never jump-started a vehicle. They don't understand what's going on. They might think that just putting those cables on the battery gives it power. They don't understand that electricity is traveling in different parts of the electrical system and through those wires, and if you touch things together, it could shock you. Again, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, and that's something that you want to take control of your own situation with. You need to look some things up, read up on how to jumpstart vehicles or electricity, and maybe just get some basic knowledge, because I feel like in today's day there's just a lot of people who just look at a jump pack and they think, oh, this will start my car, I have it, and if I run into any problems I can just use this, and they go out there and they might not be very careful with it. So the LCD screen has a nice little layout there, and it tells you all the different functions, input, output, what you're doing with the unit at the time, and then the little warning symbols. And if you're charging your phone or something with it, it has little lightning bolts and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
And it has a nice LED light on it, which helps out a lot. It's about as bright as the light on my iPhone, and it looks pretty bright here, but I would say it's about like an iPhone's light would be. And it also has like a pulsing, like a SOS kind of thing on it, so if you're on the side of the road at night trying to work on the car, you can alert traffic, and stuff like that. So, and something else that's cool is it has this USB port on the side. There's two of those and a USB-C. I can charge my phone on it. You can see it was at 50% when I started, and my phone was at about 70%. By the time I got my phone to 100%, it had dropped it down to about 43%. So I think it's a nice unit. I like that it has that readout of the battery percentage. It lets you know exactly how much battery power you have. And again, I was in the market for one of these, so it's really cool to have one and test it out. And I'm going to keep it charged up every few months. I'll make sure it's fully charged. And next time I need to use it for myself or a friend, I'll take it with me and we'll see how it goes. So I'll make another video on this in a little while once I've had a few chances to use it. I'm also going to probably take it with me to the lake and see if I need it on, the speedboat or anything else like that. But there have been a lot of times where, I've had like a dead battery here or there, and I just needed to move my car just over so that I can move another one out of the way. And I've always wanted to have something like this to have on hand just for that situation. And this is a great thing to have in an emergency. We went to the racetrack once with my brother and my friend at Willow Springs, and we left the tailgate open on the Denali, and I think the battery had died from the door being open or something like that, and we had one of these to use. It wasn't this exact one, but they are useful, and it's nice to have on the spot when you're kind of far away from anyone else, and if nobody else has jumper cables. And you never know who you'll find in a parking lot who needs a quick jump or something. So I'll keep this around, and I'll let you know how it goes. Also, I'll put a link in the description below to where you can buy one of these if you'd like one. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.